The Cabrach is an austere and bonny coming together of glens right on the edge of the Cairngorms. For thousands of years, folks scraped a thin living for this landscape, bringing sheep in to pasture in the summer sheilans, howking fish out of the salmon-rich Devon. But for a long time, folk that bade here subsidised their income for a secret economy. For a long time, the Cabrach was at the heart of Scotland's illicit whisky trade. And that is what we're going to explore today. It's best to stravage the Cabrach on foot, to hear the multitude of birds, squeak o'er the old brigs and get a real feel for the place. But we only had a wee while with our first interview, sheep farmer Andy Bell, so we leapt it into his 4x4 and set off up the glen. En route, he explained the differences between himself and the farmers in the Cabrach 200 year sign.
I mean, a lot of ways they would have, some things would have been, they obviously didn't have quad bikes, bigger tractors, pickups, but then the bit I look after now, at one time would have been 6 farms, and it would have been, they all probably would have had a worker and sons and daughters that worked it, and now I'm by myself,
So they would have had many machines but a lot more staff.
A lot more staff and a lot smaller ground. Literally, say, all the bit I look after now was 6 farms at one time.
Andy had taken us out to an old whisky distilling farm.
Okay, this is Backhill the Gowls, a derelict farm in the Lower Cabrach. It's been derelict now for approximately 35-40 years. I found a newspaper clipping of a farm sale back in the 1800s, and among all the farm implements and it was all horse-drawn stuff and things like that, was all the old whisky making equipment, the copper still, the worm. The funny thing about it was, in the newspaper clipping it said, had all the whisky making equipment and said very little use. I'm sure that was put in for the excise man at the time.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, the reason the Cabrach was one of the last areas for illicit stilling, apparently, certainly what I've read up about, was it was about the maximum distance that the customs and excise couldn't ride in a horse in a day, because they were based at Banff. So when they were coming to the Cabrach, they had to stop halfway, and whenever they stopped overnight, a runner would be sent out and warn everybody in the Cabrach that the excise were on their way, so they could hide all the whisky making equipment. So when they came up here, they could never find anything.
Fantastic.
So it was why this is one of the regions that whisky stilling, remained for so long.
Do you think whisky would have been essential to keep these farms viable?
It would have been. I mean, really marginal farming areas like this, the farms have been real touch and go, whether they could economically be viable to keep a family afloat and things like that. So whisky stilling at one time, instead of getting subsidies and or LFA payments and things like that, that would have been their way of supplementing their income and making their whole business viable.
Saying farewell to Andy and his dogs, we went to learn about a big new project we could change the face of the Cabrach. We met with Peter, Heritage Manager of the new £6 million initiative, the Cabrach Trust. What is the Cabrach Trust?
So the Cabrach Trust is a charity that works to regenerate the area, in particular the Cabrach and neighbouring areas as well, but we have a strong focus on the Cabrach.
And tell us about the centre.
The Cabrach is full of these farms like our farm in Vaharach. But in Vaharach farm, we've taken into our custody and we're going to transform it. We're going to make it into a heritage centre. We're going to make it into this exciting hub that'll tell the story of the Cabrach. The exhibitions are going to focus on illicit distilling. Here, like no other place, they made it an industry. They made it an industry that could flourish, and because it was a place that was easy to evade, it was easy to evade the excise officers coming into the region. It's quite accessible, but if you know your way around, you'll spot foreigners coming in very, very quickly.
So, where we are just now in the Cabrach, we've been out and about the day. The road's awfully quiet, there's nobody here, beautiful sunny day and there's nobody around. What difference do you hope to make to that?
Well, I think it's all about access, really. And we're going to create this access for people to enjoy a whole day out. They'll be able to enjoy our sheltered courtyard, enjoy drinks and food in there from the cafe. They're going to be able to enjoy walking around our path systems and enjoy the Devon and the black water here, maybe fishing or just picnic with their families, and just maybe a hiking day out as well in the landscape. That's what I'm thinking. I stand for safeguarding the heritage and documenting the heritage. And traditionally, or historically, the Cabrach has almost always been on other hands. Historically, for instance, the Duke of Gordon, the Duke of Richmond. But I see it as a place where, with everybody's help, you could save a bit of Scottish history that's in danger of being forgotten.
That's really interesting, Peter. Thanks for chatting to us today.
You're welcome.
Good luck with the project.
Thank you.
All that whisky chat had gied us a druth. So to find out more about Speyside whisky, what a Cabrach malt might taste like, and just a hay wee dram, I went to meet a local whisky expert.
Okay, so I've picked out a dram for us, a typical Speyside whisky, Balvenie, and I must say it's the locals' favourite here, Balvenie. Balvenie, I always think honey, lots of honey here, and you'll get a little bit of caramel as well. And yeah, try and hold it in your mouth. They say for 12 seconds, and then swallow. So sometimes you really get a really harsh burn, but you shouldn't get that with Balvenie, but you should get quite a long finish. So sometimes it's gone, but other whiskies like Balvenie, yeah, you should feel this, and you get lots of flavour.
Lovely. Sludge.
Slange.
It's a very rich mouthful, isn't it?
It's lovely.
So how typical is this of a Speyside?
Yeah, very typical, but it's really hard to pigeonhole Speyside whiskies because there's lots of different whiskies from here. And yeah, in the older days they would have been a lot more robust and smoky. We would have used peat to dry the barley, and all that's kind of gone, and we have this more lighter, accessible Speyside whisky.
So they're building a new distillery here in the Cabrach. What do you think the whisky might taste like, and what would you want it to taste like?
Yeah, it'll be great to see something a bit more oomph back here. I think we have gone away to a bit more mass market appeal and creating this lighter Speyside whisky. So what will be nice is to get back this more typical Speyside spirit. But also the thing is that we're obsessed today with consistency. So every distillery must give consistency in their spirit, because basically a lot of them sell their spirit to blenders. So they have to ensure they sell the same thing every time. But for us, in the Cabrach, I think it will really just be as a single malt, and it'd be quite nice to have vintages as such and have a different Cabrach whisky. It might not always be exactly the same, depending on the harvest, etc.
So tell me, what do you think, as somebody fae the Cabrach and fae the whisky tradition, what do you think the positive impacts of a new distillery around here could be?
It'd be absolutely brilliant. We're going to get people back in the Cabrach, people coming up the Cabrach. People used to come up here for a run every Sunday, and it's really, really sad to see so few of the houses populated, but also places like the Grouse Inn, you know, quiet. Obviously the drink driving laws as well don't help. To see the distillery working, people come up to see our special distillery, and also then doing a walk in the Cabrach. We've got these great walking paths now. And also, you know, then finishing off with a dram over at the Grouse Inn.
Michelle, thanks so much for taking the time.
Thank you.
Slash.
Slash.
The Cabrach might be a totty wee place, and it might be a place most folk haven't heard of, but that doesn't mean it's insignificant. A lot of the issues we've been hearing about the Cabrach today, how to transmit heritage and culture from one generation to the next, how to stop rural depopulation, these are issues that affect huge parts of Scotland. But what we have in the Cabrach is a test case. What happens if, like at the Cabrach Trust, you inwardly invest millions and use heritage to rebuild the economy and the confidence of a community? For that reason alone, it's worth taking 10 in the Cabrach.